Hello, you lovelies! You totally haven't heard me just a few seconds ago and stuff. But anyways, we're back with more action, with more fun, as we're about to play some Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble World Tour, being played by the ever so lovely Snowball. Welcome! How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty alright, thank you. Hey everyone, my name is Snowball, or Snowball SMB, or Snowy, doesn't really matter. And this is Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble World Tour. So, Banana Rumble is the most recent entry in the Super Monkey Ball franchise. It is not even 2 months old yet. And it is so much fun. There are 200 new stages in the game. World Tour plays the first 100 from the main story. But depending on the results of a little bid war for this run, there might be a little bit of a twist. So, which option won that bid war?
We have the bid war closing in at $55 as the winning position for use a different character for each world.
Alright, so for those of you who are familiar with previous Super Monkey Ball entries in the series, this incentive might not make a whole lot of sense, but this game actually has different character stats, similar to Banana Blitz. So this is one of only pretty much 2 games in the series where you can really do a bid war like this. So I will be using 10 different characters throughout this run, 1 for each world. I'll be starting out with Yan Yan in World 1 because Yan Yan's stats are really tough to control, so I want to use her on the easier stages. So I'm going to give a quick countdown and then we are going to be off. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck on the run!
Thank you. So the first thing you're going to notice is something else that's pretty unique about Banana Rumble is there's a new mechanic called a spin dash. I promise that this is not a Sonic game. Spin dash works actually very similarly to how it works in Sonic. You just charge it up and then release for a big burst of speed, and that allows for some really cool skips that otherwise would not be possible. I'll be spin dashing on almost every stage in this run. There will be a couple that I will actually opt to not spin dash on whatsoever. And I mentioned the character stats. Character stats actually make a pretty big difference. Because some characters can accelerate faster than others, some have higher top speeds, some for the multiplayer battle modes have a higher weight stat, so that makes it so they can't get pushed around as easily and can shove lighter characters a pretty good distance. Whoa, Yan Yan, where are you going? So, Yan Yan has very low acceleration, but a really high top speed, and this makes her very difficult to control. That's going to be pretty apparent on this stage. She turns very slowly. So, if I were using a character such as, like, Tails or Baby or T, who have higher brake stats and just lower all-around friction, they have also just much easier control. So they would be able to take those turns significantly faster than Yan Yan can. Even though Yan Yan has a higher top speed, she cannot take turns very well, and that is her big weakness. Yan Yan is also very bouncy. So there are actually like a couple IL strats where Sonic's stats make him pretty much just a better Yan Yan, except for the bounciness. So Sonic is ever so slightly faster than Yan Yan in terms of top speed, but Yan Yan's bouncier, so that makes a couple strats slightly more optimal for Yan Yan over Sonic. We are already to the final stage of World 1. A very long looking stage. Yeah, we're not going to play any of it because spin dash. And that is Yan Yan for this run. I just want to say also, shout out to the development team for this game for putting in-game leaderboards in for a time attack mode for each individual world. That makes speedrunning IWs, or individual worlds, really, really easy, especially since all of these categories track in-game time, so it only takes the time that you are rolling on the stage. So having in-game boards with an in-game timer makes things very simplistic for getting into speedrunning the game, which I personally really, really like. But now we are into World 2, the Rose Garden. I'll be using Fess for this world. Fess is one of the 5 new characters added to the series in this game. As you can see, she is not a monkey, but she is the leader of the Gala family. Gala family is a pack of treasure hunters / thieves, and Fess is pretty much the boss, and she's also the boss of that stage. Got another really cool spin dash strat here, going to be trying to get a corner clip to go straight to the goal platform. That almost didn't go far enough, but fortunately I was able to get a favorable edge clip off of the goal platform. So we won't be seeing all 3 members of the Gala family that are in this game. I will be playing as Val, though. Val is a big lion character who has a very, very powerful spin dash. I believe the second strongest spin dash in the entire game after another one of the new characters, Easel. We will be seeing Easel later. Easel is very funny. I will be opting not to play as T for any of the worlds. That was unfortunate timing. T has a very high acceleration and a pretty good spin dash charge speed, but he doesn't have a very good top speed, so I'm going to sort of opt to not play him in this specific run, just because of that. Fess has a super quick spin dash charge that's also just a pretty powerful spin dash. And Val has the second strongest spin dash in the game with a pretty good charge time. So we'll be seeing some of him in World 4 as those stages really line up well for his stat spread. But cool strat alert. Just barely missed it, so I will go for that again. This is one of my favorite strats in the entire run, so I really, really want to hit this. I was actually originally going to play this world as Knuckles, but I found out that Knuckles has a really difficult time with that strat specifically, and Fess is another really strong character for World 2, so I decided to switch to Fess just because of that last stage. Now we are moving to World 3, and for those of you who played Super Monkey Ball 2, this guy I'm playing as might look a little bit familiar. Of course, he's got a little bit of a redesign, but Dr. Badboon, the villain of Super Monkey Ball 2, is finally playable. I'm going to be honest, his stat spread isn't that great. Oh my god, I just barely missed the pause switch. However, his spin dash is pretty strong, so that makes up for a fair amount of his weaker stats. But this world is going to introduce a few new mechanics to the game. I mean, new to the game, not new to the series. Switches, like we saw on that stage, and also wormholes. But first we've got to do a really cool strat, and I hope that I remember the exact timing for releasing the spin dash. The neat thing about that strat is every character has a different optimal point to release the spin dash because of varying spin dash strength. So it's really important, depending on which character you're using, to really know your spacing on 3-2 Spiderweb. As that is a super crucial strat, as that stage is very long without it. Also, something else to note about this game that I personally really, really like, this game has a manual camera. that you can control with the right joystick on your controller. And if you hold the joystick straight down, it will look down and just lock the camera in place. And there's also a button that will lock the camera in place without it looking down, so we just now have also a manual camera button. This is optimal in certain situations where you're trying to line up something further ahead, as opposed to, you know, looking down. Also, I have to be very careful going through that wormhole because there's a little bit of a glitch in the game right now with wormholes that fortunately the development team is aware of, and I believe that they are working on a fix for, where most wormholes in the game, when you pass through them, they will knock you slightly to the right or left. And from what I can gather, it's pretty random in terms of which direction it decides to knock you. So that wormhole I always want to take super safe. Also, I really do not like this stage. Fortunately, I was able to hit that backup strat and skip still probably about half of the stage. Something else that's really cool about the whole in-game timer with this game is there are also pretty much effectively in-game splits for every single stage, just built in. And it will tell you how far ahead or behind of your PB for that specific run you are after each and every stage, which is really nice. Gives you a good sense of what sort of pace your run is on. And that is just always really, really handy for, like, if you're going for PB attempts, gauging, alright, do I want to keep this going, or would it be more productive to just sort of reset? For me, I really only feel like it's productive to reset in the first, like, 2 or 3 worlds of, like, a full world tour run, because those are the worlds where most of my time save is right now, just because of silly mishaps here and there. But now we're moving on into World 4 Golden Temple, and we are going to be using Vol with that mighty spin dash. The first stage of this world introduces the dash pads. So they're pretty self-explanatory. You touch them and you get a big burst of speed. I'm very sad that I missed that one. There are 2 different colors of dash pads. There are blue and there are red. Red dash pads give you much more oomph, and you really only want to hit them in most situations if they're the only dash pad there, which there is a stage later on that is the case. Or if you have a character that has a much higher break stat. Also, I am going for this strat a few times because I can, since I'm playing Vol. Very few characters, at least to my knowledge, can actually hit this. This stage is awful and long, but Vol, Baby, and a couple others, I believe, can beat the stage in about 4 seconds. So I would really like to hit this because it is so flashy. But just not getting that sweet spot. The thing that makes this really tough is the fact that the middle portion of the stage that you land on after that first initial bounce has a pretty sharp curve away from where you actually want to go. I'm only going to go for this a couple more times and then I'll just play the stage out. But it's a really cool strat and I'd really like to show it off. But Vol is, you know, being a member of the Gala family, being a treasure hunter, he's just too enamored with those gold coins down there. Alright, let's just play it out. So that's enough sillying around. Now you're going to see why I wanted to hit that strat so badly, because this stage is just very long, very obnoxious, and these rails are very bumpy. It's incredibly easy to just get thrown out of the rails if you're going too quick. So yeah, that's, as you can see, that's a 28-second stage that, if Vol would cooperate, would have been beaten in 4. But alas, sometimes we can't hit all of the nice strats. But we can hit this one since it's much easier. Going to just entirely skip that stage. Characters with better break stats can take that a little bit faster because of just being able to turn quicker, so you don't have to worry about falling off of the stairs too early. I am also going to go for a really cool strat here that is really hard. Oh, that was really close. You can probably see what I was going for there. If you hit these dishes, one of these dishes just right with the spin dash, you can just sail right over that big wall and into the goal. But turns out you only need to actually hit 2 of the switches, the red and the blue ones, because those are the only ones that block that slope. And with a nice charge, you can just, yeah, do that. This stage is going to introduce us to boulders, just those big gold balls that you can push around. They will be appearing a few times throughout the run. They're not too common, but they are a very cool mechanic that appears, it feels like, just the right amount throughout the game. And now we've got another cool strat that I'm hoping I can land, because if you get the full skip on this stage, it looks like that, and it's really cool. Now we've got coming up the actual hardest stage in World 4, Sand Garden. What makes this strat so difficult is unless you back up at the start, even if you do back up at the start, you need to get a... Okay, really, Vol? You need to get a very specific clip along the first hole into releasing the spin dash at just the right moment going into the second hole. And this strat is pretty crucial even in World Tour, because that stage is one of the longer ones that has a major skip like that. So being able to skip that stage saves probably close to 20 seconds, I would say. A very simple stage there, and very simple stage at the end here with Rush Hour. Going to just do a mini spin dash to not quite get to the part of the cycle I wanted to get at. A little bit stronger there. There we go. That's much better. 4 worlds down, 6 to go, and next up is the desert, the Stone Valley, and I will be using the character that is by far the most optimal for speedruns, tragically. I say tragically, not because it's Baby, but because of just how much more viable than everyone else Baby is. I do not know what the developers were thinking when they made him this strong. His acceleration is extraordinary, his top speed is pretty good, and his spin dash is also nothing to scoff at. Baby is just all around an absolute speedrun demon. And that stage we don't actually have to play whatsoever. The next stage, we don't technically have to play any of it, but we probably will be playing at least some of it. So that is an incredibly good skip. Getting to the third to last layer off of one spin dash is really, really good. As you can see, that stage is very long and very tedious, unless you do that. You have to go all the way up that pyramid, and that skip saves an extraordinary amount of time. That is one of the most important skips in the entire run. That was you know what, I'm gonna just fall off, because it's gonna actually put me on a better cycle if I just fall off, and also be faster IGT-wise. I am going over to the right way too early, so I'm trying to get a clip that will send me over that second set. That break is disgusting. Because the second set of push bars on that stage is... the middle one is offset from the 2 outer ones, so there's a whole lot more weighting on that set, unless you get that clip and just hop right on over. And pretty much every character in the game can actually do that skip, which is nice. It's just, Baby can do it better. Vol and Easel can also probably do it pretty well because of how strong their spin dashes are, and in turn Knuckles as well. But now is a really good time for messages from the host because I'm gonna just be pushing this plate for 20 seconds.
Hello! Yes, we have a wonderful, wonderful thing going because I was just informed of how the van diesel looks like in the target that we currently have for Buck Up and Drive. You want to reach that goal. That van is equally cursed and hilarious.
Ready?
It's amazing. You'll always $400 to see this amazing piece of art. For those of you who know me, I tend to be quite cursed, and even I say, holy heck, that is cursed. That's amazing. We want to see that. With that being said, we also have a poll going, a new one, for the baking. What flavor of cookies are we baking? And the choices are the Argic, lemon with white chocolate chips, the Amber, strawberry with cream cheese and chips, the Flame, Oreo with M&M's, the TGH, cheesecake with M&M's, the Classic, vanilla with chocolate chips, and the backup strat, chocolate shake with cinnamon chips. Cinnamon.
Congratulations!
Those sound yummy.
Just a quick question. As someone who's never played the monkey ball, do I see correctly that you do not control the ball, but rather like tilt the map, or how does it work?
So, you tilt... You're controlling the... I almost skipped World 6. You're controlling the tilt of gravity. So you're not controlling the character or the stage. And there are some instances where in, not necessarily this game, but in other games where there are some really, really unique utilizations of that fact. This game, with where its unique sort of level design comes from, is balancing it around the spin dash mechanic. But yeah, it's the tilt of gravity that you're controlling in these marble roller games, which I think is personally really, really cool.
And I'm very happy we're getting to play as the best boy Tails now. Best boy?
Yeah, so this is actually the first of the DLC characters I will be using in this run. I plan on only actually using 2 of them. Currently there are 4 DLC characters in the game. Good old Team Sonic, with Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy Rose. And then also Axel from Crazy Taxi and Beat from Jet Set Radio will be added in, I think they said September. And also there will be more characters added at a later date. We don't know who those will be. But I can just say, looking at the various DLC trailers, Axel is going to have an incredibly long spin dash charge time. So I'm going to assume that he'll end up having a very powerful spin dash. Yeah, Tails, it's funny, I chose Tails for this world specifically because of this stage, because of his really good break, and then I messed up my spacing anyway. That stage is incredibly long, and that skip, you just literally skip the entire thing. It is significantly easier with characters who have a higher break stat because of the angle that you're coming into the second to last half-pipe with. It makes it so you can crash into the wall along the side of the last half-pipe a lot more aggressively and not get as punished for it, but I still got pretty punished for it on that first attempt. The thing that makes Tails pretty unique on his stats spread is, in addition to his good acceleration and good top speed, he also has a lightning quick spin dash cooldown. I think it's his cooldown. If I am correct at remembering things, I want to say he's got the fastest spin dash cooldown in the entire game. I could be wrong about that though. But unfortunately, Neon Arena is packed with auto-scrollers. So this one is literally just a waiting game. So if there are any other messages that the host would like to say, now is another really good time.
Thank you. First of all, very happy. Tails is the best boy, I love him. But for those of you lovelies who might have just tuned in, just a quick reminder that this is a one-day fundraiser and is being presented by the team at Fast-Pace Events. Founded in January 2022, their mission is to promote mental health and LGBTQ+ awareness through speedrunning and to raise money for mental health and LGBTQ+ charities and beating games at a fast pace. You can find more information about the team by checking out their X, following our Twitter account, over at twitter.com/fastpacedevents, which might be x.com. I don't know if both links work, to be honest.
Ready? Go!
I cannot believe that I forgot the spin dash timing on this stage. This is one of my favorite strats in the whole game. And the first attempt, I forgot that I was supposed to spin dash while still on this ring. There we go. That's how that's supposed to look. That is a strat that, shockingly, I believe every character in the game can do. And I say shockingly because, for those of you who have not played this game, Mimi has laughably bad stats, at least for speedrunning. I will say her stats for completing things like the banana collecting missions or the missions for collecting the gold bananas, Mimi's stats are ridiculously good for that because her top speed is very low, her brake is good, her acceleration is good, and her spin dash isn't that great, but for banana collecting missions, speed isn't really ever an issue until you get to some of the really big stages in the EX worlds or extra worlds that are effectively the post-game 100 stages. You unlock those after you have beaten the main story. They are incredibly tough, and the banana missions are just, yeah, they live up to being the post-game. But now we are going to my favorite world in, honestly, probably the entire Super Monkey Ball series, the Candy Castle, and I'm going to be using the Phantom Thief Easel. So, Easel, lore-wise, is the father of the other new monkey character, Pallet, and he's unfortunately not very good at this stage. But he's very good at a couple later stages in World 7, so that's why I chose him for this world specifically. So Easel is after the legendary banana and in turn the 7 OO parts. They are pretty much just miniature Chaos Emeralds, let's be honest. There are 7 of them. I think there's only like one that's not the same color as one of the Chaos Emeralds. And they hold mystical powers. Those who have the 7 OO parts will, like, be able to unlock the legendary banana or something like that. And Easel gets corrupted by, like, greed or something over wanting the OO parts and the banana or something. The lore is very simplistic, but also a little bit hard to follow. Also, it's been, like, a month and a half since I actually played the story. So, that stage is really cool, by the way. So yeah, Easel pretty much goes around, steals all of the OO parts from the main cast after they've collected a bunch of them. And then kidnaps Pallet, even though Pallet is his daughter, and then Pallet has to go, and because she's pure of heart, steal all of the OO parts from him and then, like, tackle him. And then the curse is lifted, and then he's a good guy. He has the strongest spin dash in the game, and I'm going to go for something one time. Didn't even come close. So, there's a very specific spot where if you spin dash with Easel, you will get a speed bump that will bounce you pretty much across those stairs, across the conveyor belt over here, and straight to the goal and beat the stage in like 5 seconds. Easel does not actually need any run-up on that half skip. It's faster if you charge the spin dash earlier and do, like, some run up into it, because then you're not just sitting on the platform for like 4 seconds charging with Easel's absurdly long charge time.
Ready?
But yeah, there's another stage later that has another IL strat that is, to my knowledge, Easel exclusive. Actually, Vol might be able to do it, but it's significantly harder with Vol. And that stage is the other reason why I chose Easel for this world, so hopefully I can hit that one. Gotta roll fast, but Easel can also fly fast. Now we've got a stage called Seesaw Floor. These aren't actually seesaws, because they're like on a set timer. I'm going to do a little spin dash. This is really hard with anyone who doesn't have like Amy's specific stats. Because I've played this significantly more with Amy Rose, as I am a big-time Amy Rose fan. I think that that's pretty apparent given my VTuber. But second try is pretty good for that. That strat is not the easiest thing to hit. In Sonic games, you've heard of Press Garden and Press Factory. Now we've got just the Press Machine. And we have one stage left in World 7. I am going to go for this a few times. This is called Tilting Road. If you're playing as Easel, the road is merely a suggestion. I don't want to click retry. This is not an IL session. If you click restart in an IW or a World Tour, you restart from the first stage, which is not good. That was almost it. So you can pretty much see what I'm going for here. Easel has a strong enough spin dash where he can just skip literally the entirety of the stage. Alright, I'll go for it one more time, and then I will do the half skip, which is also pretty cool. Never mind. Okay, that was worth it. I am so glad that I was actually able to hit the IL in a marathon. That's cool. But speaking of Easel and his daughter Palette, we're going to be using Palette for the next world. So, Palette was my main up until Amy Rose got added. So, Sonic was added on release day, and then Tails, Knuckles, and Amy were added on July 30th. At least for the time zone I'm in, which is Eastern time. For Europe and any later time zones, it would have been very early morning on the 31st. That was really unfortunate. So this stage is awful, as you can probably see. There is also a very awful strat where you just pretty much go and hope that you don't get absolutely bodied by collision. I don't like doing that strat because it's entirely luck-based. So I'm gonna just do the safer, slightly slower strat, and I feel like I'm saying this a lot. Here's another stage with a really cool strat. This stage in general is just a really neat concept. Where you tilt the seesaw in a specific way, so that way you can spin dash off of it and get enough speed and distance and height and all that stuff to jump over to the next platform. But the way things line up, you can just sort of skip most of it, utilizing the spin dash and at the end a very specific seesaw position. And now we've got the hardest strat in World 8, and I'm realizing now I've not actually played this strat with Palette since the slight change to the physics. So, second try though, I will gladly take it. The physics got a slight rework because I want to say it was like every 6 frames or something, the physics would not run. but then they fixed that, so they had to tweak the physics a little bit to account for that. It plays very similarly to how it did, but there are some slight differences. And I realized that I hadn't actually played Palette on Archbridges since the physics change. Fortunately, on the current patch, her setup for that strat is like the exact same as Amy's. So I'm going to cut my speed a little bit and tragically fall in the hole. This is probably my second least favorite strat in the entire run. My least favorite strat will be in the next world. That was way too good a bounce. Okay. Let's try that a third time, and this time actually go in the goal. So, down. Alright. So, this stage is called Switch Search. You're supposed to go down the holes and search for the switches, but I know exactly where they are, so if I need to take the backup, I can just do that. I really don't like that strat. It is really hard and fairly unreliable when it wants to be, and of course it wants to be during a marathon because it knows. The game knows. This stage has one of the best stage names in the entire game, so many seesaws. There are a few really good stage names that we sadly won't be seeing as they are in the extra worlds. There's one world that has stages called Mysterious Objects and Strange Bath. I don't know why the second one is called Strange Bath, because if any of you have played or seen a run of Super Monkey Ball 2, it's fairly similar to the Expert Extra stage Construction. So I really don't know how it got that name. But that was actually a World 8 PB, even though there were the issues on Switch Search, so that's cool. So now we're going to actually see the leaderboard screen for once. Okay, so that's 12th place on the in-game board for World 8. I'll have to go back and do a little bit better at a later point, but right now we're moving into World 9. So this is Sealum. This is the floating city world that is so cool. The music in this world is one of my favorite tracks. Candy Castle, Sealum, and Astrum, I think, are probably my three favorite musical tracks in the whole game. I really like the Sealum music because it feels like they just fused Monkey Ball OST with Sonic Superstars OST, and I really, really like it. But we're using Doctor for this world, because Doctor's spin dash charges like lightning and is also incredibly powerful, which means he can do big things on some of these stages. But first we've got to get through Sundial here with those red dash pads that I was talking about earlier. There are only the red dash pads because if there weren't, characters who have higher break stats like Baby, like Mimi, like T, like Tails, like probably Amy, they would not be able to do that stage. Just straight up, they would not be able to complete it. This stage sucks, by the way, to speedrun. It's a very cool stage, but speedrunning it is not the greatest thing going. So, I'm going to do that little bit of a half skip. I was trying to do a full skip because I first tried a full skip in practice with Doctor, but the timing is incredibly precise, even with a character who has a lightning-fast spin dash charge and one that's powerful. But now we are going on a bit of a Switch adventure. So while I just hit these switches all over the place, if there are any messages from the host, now would be a great time.
Hello! Yes, we have a $10 donation from Codebreaker with no comment, but regardless, thank you very, very much for your generosity. For those of you who don't remember, we are supporting the charity that is known as GATE. GATE stands for Global Action for Trans Equality, which is a global trans-led advocacy organization dedicated to advancing gender equality for all. Wonderful, wonderful cause, and we appreciate all your lovely donations.
Ready? Go!
Alright, so no one saw me fall off of Mirage. Now we've got Spiral Zone. I promise that this is not a Sonic game, even though there is a zone right here. And there's spin dashing, and there are all 4 members of Team Sonic. I promise this isn't a Sonic game. So yeah, spin dash. Cool mechanic, lets you skip a cycle at the beginning, and if you're feeling spicy, you can skip a second cycle. But, I don't feel like the second cycle skip is marathon safe, so I'm not gonna go for it. Now we've got an elevator. And now we've got 1 bounce, 2 bounce, goal. Alright, that was good. Sometimes I don't have enough forward momentum. And that's bad, and now we have my least favorite strat in the entire run. Oh my god, really? So, something important to note about spin dashing in this game. If you're airborne, even ever so slightly, you don't get any boost from your spin dash. Which, I mean, if we're going by Sonic rules, that makes a whole lot of sense, but it's really annoying in situations where I was probably like a millimeter off the ground, so I didn't get any boost there. And that was very tragic, because I needed all the speed I could get to, you know, get up to the goal and not have to play any of that stage. Wow, that was really close to my World 9 PB. That was a solid run. If I wasn't sillying around on 9-4 Broken Square, that probably would have actually been a World 9 PB. But now we are moving on into our final world, World 10 Astrum, the space world, one of my favorite, probably 2 worlds, right behind Candy Castle, in both visuals, music, stage design. I love the Astrum stages. And because we are going into the final world, I've got to use my personal favorite character in, honestly, probably anything, Amy Rose. So Amy, even though I've chosen her for this world, there are 2 stages actually. How many times am I gonna miss that dash pad before I like decide to slow that down? There are 2 stages later in this world that Amy has a little bit of a struggle with. One of them is a little bit of a struggle because there are 2 different strats on it. One of which she can't do because of her higher break stat, and the other is faster but really hard. The other stage that is a little bit harder for her is just harder because, again, I think her exact stat spread does not line up for the very specific bounces you need to get to the end. Also, that stage is really cool to play in a speedrun because it is a complete movement check. Beating out all those cycles that I did takes a lot of practice. I could have made it all the way there. I could not decide if I wanted to full send it or not, and that was the death of me and Amy Rose. So, alright. Going to just sort of skip cycles, wait for that emitter to finish throwing star bits on the side that I'm on, and just go around. That stage is called Wind and Sun, and it is really cool, and now we have probably the hardest stage in the entire run because I'm using a high break character, Tornado Ring. So, yeah. This stage is hard. If you're playing as a character like, say, Palette, who has a much lower break stat, you can just charge a spin dash and release it on your way up this ramp and just fly over the whole thing and bounce across the top, and then sneak into the goal ring. It is significantly easier than this. So this strat, I'm having to flick straight left at a very specific point. Of course, my thumb slipped off the joystick on an attempt that could have made it. Ricochet off a specific spot of this one ring. That was not good. And then hit a very specific spot of another ring and hold straight right into the goal. That's not the ring I want to hit. Alternatively, I could get a slightly slower series of bounces and land in that second to last ring with the dash pads, but that is just as hard because the dash pad ring, there we go. The dash pad ring kind of sucks to play, and also getting a hit into that is also really tough. Yeah, Tornado Ring was like probably the biggest roadblock for almost everyone on their casual playthroughs, both casual players or speedrunners, through that first initial playthrough of the game. And it still stands as, in my opinion, the hardest stage in the entirety of World Tour, even in a speedrun setting. That was an interesting clip through the goal. Yeah, Tornado Ring, hard. Broken Cylinder with Amy, hard. The last 3 stages, not that hard. So we only have 3 stages left, so time will be coming up very soon. I say it's not hard, and I fall off of the stage for literally the first time in that spot. I'm trying to do a spin dash where I fly over this wall and land on the outer ring out here, and I almost hit the wall like it was a tennis net, and that would not have been good. So there we go. That saves a lot of time from just going back and forth along that just long winding track. This stage we're not going to play any of because tragically it's spaced like that. I wish that it was spaced a little bit differently so you had to interact with the actual stage a bit more because I love cylinder stages. But this is the final stage. Time will be when I go through the goal, and we're going to skip the first 3/4 of the stage, hit these dash pads all the way up to the top, and time.
Finish.
GG's!
Congratulations.
Thank you for, honestly, for being a run where I have to constantly be switching which stat spread I'm using after every world. I am really happy with how that went. I'm especially happy that I was able to hit the silly easel strat at the end of Candy Castle and also PB in World 8, so that was cool. But I have been told that you all generously hit the bonus incentive for some more Monkey Ball action, because this game also has a race mode, and there are currently 6 racetracks in the game. So I'll be playing through all 6 of them. I'll be giving another countdown for another timer momentarily. I just need to take a sip of waters because we all need to stay hydrated.
Heck yeah, hydration!
And when I start yapping about Monkey Ball endlessly, my throat does get a little bit dry because I love talking about Monkey Ball. So the way this is going to work is I am going to be going through each of the 6 tracks with only one other computer character racing against me. I am not allowed to use any items for this run because I'm just doing the race mode with no items. There are actually separate slots on the IL sheet for each racetrack with or without items, which I think is really cool. And I will be switching between characters based on which character is most optimal for each track. So Easel is most optimal for Cookie Circuit, and hopefully you all are going to be seeing why. So I'm going to give another countdown, and then we are going to be off. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Here we go.
So the racetracks in this game are pretty much just giant stages, complete with, there's a goal at the end. Just a regular old goal. It's not a finish line, it's a goal. So I'm going to back up to get a little bit of a run up at the start, release the spin dash, and just go, go, go. So Easel is really good on this stage because of his immense strength with the spin dash mechanic. There is a spot at the end of the track where you can skip pretty much the last quarter or so of the track. That was very unfortunate timing because now I'm stuck in the wafer checkerboard. because I got stuck, I'm not going to go for another skip that is right here. You can charge a full spin dash, hit that trim that's along the side, and skip these turns, and skip also this other obstacle that I'm going to be going for a skip right here. Did that too early. If I had released the spin dash at a point where that platform had just started to rise, I would have been able to get a clip all the way up to the top, and here we go. First try. Let's go. So that's, that is slowly but surely becoming known as easel skip. So, yeah, easel can just, with the right angle, with a full charge spin dash, up against that trim, yeah. He can just skip the entirety of pretty much the last quarter of the stage, which is absolutely beautiful. And it's surprisingly not that hard. Like, it's honestly viable to go for in online lobbies. If you're in the lead and playing easel, that is like actually a viable strat. Now we've got Rose Tower. This is easily the track I'm worst at. So hopefully this goes okay. That is a really bad angle. Okay. I am going to just not even go for the little half pipe strat. You can spin dash up against that half pipe and skip the that turn, but it's not exactly one I'm good at, and just because I can't use items doesn't mean that the computers can't also. So II is going to just hit me with a missile, which is fine because I wasn't that far into the obstacle, so that's not really that big of a time loss. I'm going to go for something really hard here, and I'm going to fail it immediately, because that is a very narrow tilting beam that you're moving incredibly fast on. I have yet to hit that successfully. No, wait, I have hit it once, out of a lot of playing this stage. But fortunately, it's not that big a deal if you don't hit it, because with good movement, going around that ring is not that slow. I am going to go for another really tough thing here, spin dash. That was too good a spin dash, because I wanted to hit the ramp and fly over that sort of sweeper bar there like that. II? Can you stop hitting me with missiles, please? II cannot stop hitting me with missiles, apparently. But now we are coming up right on over to the goal. I'm going to goalpost, because you're not a true Super Monkey Ball speedrunner if you don't goalpost from time to time. That's just the rules. I didn't make them. I did. So next up is Lightning Road. I will be switching back to Amy, as Amy just feels very, very comfortable on this stage. So this stage is a fair bit narrower than pretty much all of the other tracks, aside from a couple obstacles on the final track. Lots of just, you know, basic curves and slopes on this track. There's nothing like too, you know, fancy about it, aside from like just a little drawbridge. So this would actually be a great racetrack for any messages from the host.
Hello! Yes, we still have some polls going on at the moment, one of which is the file name choice for the archipelago, with the choices between Friend, which is in the lead with $20, Long at $0, and Peans, P-E-A-N-S, at $10. And we also still have the poll for the baking as to which flavor cookies we're having, which is the choices between Let me just quickly get the full thing so I can read it all out. Cut off thingies. The Arctic, lemon white chocolate chip. The Amber, strawberry with cream cheese chips. The Flame, Oreo with M&M's. The TGH, cheesecake with M&M's. The Classic, vanilla with choco. And the backup strat, choco shake with cinnamon chips. I'm really in the mood for cookies now. Would you like some cookies?
I would love some cookies. Cookies are so good. It's a shame that we weren't talking about cookies on the stage that has cookie in the name, but oh well. when Easel is afoot, it's very easy to just get talking about strats and sadly not talking about cookies. But on a track that's just fairly straightforward like that one, we can talk about cookies all we want. What stage is next? So next up is... I don't actually know who I want to use on this one. You know what, let's use Knuckles. We haven't seen Knuckles at all today. We're going back to the Golden Temple world for the Rustic Temple racetrack. And this one is pretty cool because it sort of mashes up a bunch of obstacles from stages just throughout the entire game into one sort of big track. So, including some of the extras. Like, a lot of these obstacles are actually pulled from the extras. So, this will be sort of a little bit of a sneak peek at what the extras have in store. Not this first obstacle over here. This one sort of is very similar to, I don't actually remember the name of it, but 4-3. That we did see actually in the run. And then I just sort of skipped the Arch Bridges obstacle. Elevators, because these stages have to have elevators. Now we've got an obstacle from a World 6 extra called Gap Lane, and then Rail Slider 1-10. Now we've got Building Excitement, which is another World 6 extra. Very cool stage that beat me up badly on my first casual playthrough, but is really cool and has a couple really fun strats. Now we've got an obstacle from World 4 Extra from a stage called Eastern Gates. Then we've got 2-EX1 teacups that I am going to just try to skip, much like I try to skip and just like that fail miserably when I'm playing the full stage. And then the last obstacle is the final stage of World 4 Extra Perilous Parasols. I think that's what it's called. And those parasols can get pretty perilous, especially in the actual Perilous Parasol stage, because the parasols are not in a straight line like that, and also they go up and down, so it's a big timing stage, but also you've got to make sure that you're not getting just decimated by the ridges on each of the parasols. Now we are going on to probably the funniest and most chaotic racetrack. We've got Farm Frenzy. Anyone who's played Super Monkey Ball 2 is going to recognize a lot of these obstacles, as this track is a mashup of a bunch of Super Monkey Ball 2 stages, and I think that that is so cool because Super Monkey Ball 2 was one of the first, if not the first, video game I ever played. So we've got 1-7 from Monkey Ball 2 Slopes first. We're going to just skip that with a nice chunky easel spin dash. Then we've got 3-10 Junction. Just going to go along the side right on over here. We have 2-10 Alternative that I am going to fail miserably a spin dash skip on. I'm going to try it again because it looks really cool. I'm going to kind of fail it, kind of hit it, and then just fall in the hole anyway. So I'm trying to hit a spin dash that clips all the way across just like that. Because that is a super cool strat in my book. Now we've got 6-10 or Beginner Extra 7, I think, folders. Junction and Alternative are also Beginner Extras, and Slopes is in Base Beginner. Now we're just jumping straight over to Expert Extra 10 Train Worm. Fortunately, since it's just an obstacle, it's a lot easier than Train Worm. Then we've got 8-10, aka Expert31, Pistons, one of my all-time favorite marble roller stages as a whole. And then we've got 3-10 or Advanced 16 Mad Rings. This is probably the single worst obstacle in the entirety of Banana Rumble race mode, because the way the rings spin is random. They will just randomly start slowing down and come to a complete stop, and they will sometimes come to a complete stop completely blocking the drop to the next platform. They're not fun, but they're really funny.
Finish.
So yeah, that's Farm Frenzy, and we only have one track left. Something really cool. Back in July, the Super Monkey Ball Banana Era speedrunning community hosted a race mode Grand Prix where we played through the first 5 state racetracks twice and had a point system very similar to Mario Kart's point system. And I narrowly by 2 points ended up winning the whole Grand Prix. Shoutouts to Deadline for 1, running the event, 2, barely getting second. Like, we were back and forth that whole Grand Prix and it was so much fun. But the reason why I bring that Grand Prix up is there were a handful of players who hadn't actually played Farm Frenzy before, and hearing everyone in the voice call's first genuine reaction to that stage was a truly magical experience, because it's not a kind stage to people who haven't played it before. And I love seeing people's reaction to stuff, even if it's maybe not the greatest thing like Farm Frenzy. But anyway, enough talk about Farm Frenzy. We are on the final racetrack, Sky Highway. So time will be when I go through the goal. There's not really too much in the way of skips, but I am going to go a few times for something that I found yesterday that is really hard. And I almost got it first try. So I don't know if anyone other than Easel can do this because of spin dash strength. Alright, now I'm going to just play it out. This obstacle here that I'm trying to skip over is very slow, as you can see, because you bump this, you get sent sideways a fair amount. So you can spin dash, jump off of that ramp, and land on one of the wires. But you're landing on the narrower of the 2 wires at a sideways angle while moving at max easel spin dash charge speed. So that's not ideal. Also, that was a beautiful series of clips. That was the best I've played that in time. That was fun. I just want to say another huge thank you to everyone who donated for that incentive, because I genuinely adore the race mode in this game. The tracks are so cool. The fact that it's just, you know, just huge stages, and those are the racetracks, to me that is just so cool. So I am going to give a quick round of shoutouts before signing off. Shoutouts to everyone on the Fast Pace Events staff team for just everything, being so nice, running such just wonderful events, and letting me show off Monkey Ball. I love Monkey Ball. Anytime I get to show it off, I am happy. Shoutouts to the Super Monkey Ball Banana Era speedrunning community again, for being super cool, super supportive, and just honestly having so many cool community events and pushing this game already to its absolute limits. Shoutouts to my good friend and fellow Amy Rose superfan, Callie Macken, for just, again, being such a good friend and being just so cool. Shoutouts to everyone who agreed to host for this event. You all are awesome and just doing a phenomenal job. And shoutouts to everyone viewing. whether or not you donate or not. Just being here, watching the marathon, that means so much to all of us. The donations are just an added bonus. But just coming together, speedrunning, watching fun, silly shenanigans while raising money for such a wonderful cause, it's such a special feeling. So thank you all so much for making this happen. And I think that is all from me, but the shenanigans, silliness, and speedruns are far from over today. So, you know, make sure to keep tuning in, but also make sure to keep taking care of yourselves. Take your meds if you have any that you need to take. Stay hydrated, make sure to stretch, all that good stuff. That is all from me. Thanks again, FPE, for having me in this event.
And thank you so very much for joining us and showing off this incredible monkey ball run. You'll all these, as the Soul just said it, stay hydrated, stay fresh, and we will be right back in just a little bit with the Scottish legend that is Orgig. So, see you in a bit!